This is one Fresno resident story worthy of recording and sharing. Magdalena Nudge is now in her 99th year and has been here in the Central Valley for over 6 decades. In this 5th chapter, we will follow Magdalena in her post-war daily life in the small village of Wasserburg am Inn. Magdalena, Louis, and newborn Marianne started with only the clothes on their backs, but this was quickly supplemented by work earnings and aid from the U.S. Army and donations from German strangers. They settle in the single room of a shared apartment that they would occupy for over 3 years.
The closing was a little bit scary. I heard that in the Wirtschaftsamt, you can make an Antrag to get something. So I went right after what I can get. I already said I have German marks because it was already coming to me. And I said, can I buy some windels, that is diapers? And they said, yes, you can buy diapers, you can buy, I don't know, they said how many pieces for this time, and then I said, and a little jacket or something, because the room is very cold, because I really don't have any good heater in the room, and I'm afraid she's just in a little baby buggy and maybe she will be cold. So what I could get. And then I got some visitor. Some German ladies, 1 or 2 came up to the room. It was so nice, and they were so sweet and nice. And she said, if you don't mind, we have a little baby cloth. It's a little bit old, but washed, and we already our children already grown out. You could use it. And I was so thankful, because everything I could use. Yes, I still didn't have any clothes, just my one black dress what I came. Once we had made a beautiful picture with my husband together, and I saw I had a beautiful blouse on, and I don't remember where did I get that. I sure didn't bring it from Budapest. Then came also that time when everything was very short. Butter, eggs, sugar, meat, everything was rationed, very, very much rationed. So we could go out to the farmland. So I pushed the little baby buggy with Marianne. Frida had her son with the baby buggy. Zsuzsa came with her little girl. She could already walk. And we went through the farmers, and we asked what do they can give us if we give them cigarettes. Sometimes they gave us eggs, sometimes they gave us butter. The most likely what we always ask, butter, because they had the so-called Marken butter, which one was just very, very good, and it was very short. And that was always a wonderful walk out, because the fresh air, it was just good for the children. Yeah, I was always worried, because Marianne sometimes was breathing a little bit funny, and I ran to the doctor, which one I was prescribed to her. She was a lady doctor, and she was so nice, and she said, oh, Frau Hidas, don't worry, after the 6th child you won't worry at all. And I said, oh, please don't scare me. And she, and she said, that's normal, children do that, children do that. As Marianne got a little bit older already, I had to take her to the doctor, and the doctor noticed that her left eye, the tear duct is 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 stopped, and she offered that I should go to Ingolstadt and see a doctor there, and she will do something about it. And so once I went to a eye doctor in Ingolstadt, and they did, and it called it, they sondiert it. And then they told me in 2 weeks or 2 or 3 weeks I have to come back again. And I did that, and actually it was not much help. So because I didn't have any really facility to cook, and Zsuzsa also, we just teamed up with Zsuzsa and me with the 2 children, and we went from restaurant to restaurant and see what we can find for the ration card what we have. And there was one restaurant we loved very much because they really were so wonderfully goodly prepared food. But one time, as usual, Zsuzsa's little girl, she was always screaming. I don't know why did she had to scream. When we entered the restaurant, she was always screaming. And someday the lady said, Mrs. Hidas, please, can you just come by yourself? Don't bring the other girl, because that's not good for my restaurant. And I said, Zsuzsa, then we have to go to a different restaurant. Well, I remember back in Wasserburg when Marianne, my little baby, got baptized. Oh, that was a wonderful time, although during that time she catch a very bad cold, and I was worried about her, but it was a beautiful ceremony. The door came open, and Marianne's godmother came in, and she was her godmother. She was already asking for that position, and I was so happy to have such a wonderful lady as godmother for her. She was a Gräfin, and her name was Grof Haller Hanna, and her husband was a baroness. And that was so interesting because her husband told her always the story. In Wasserburg, they got so poor because they also lost everything when they had to escape from Hungary. But he told a story back home when he went on his horse around his property. It took him a whole day just to go around his property on the horseback. And that was the story. And Hanna right away offered that he makes us a beautiful luncheon, because he already asked the lady who has the kitchen to the apartment where we were staying, and she said right away, okay. And then I offered right away all this stamps for the whole month for the meat, because to make a luncheon for 5 or 6 people, at least my whole month of supply of meat had to go there. And Hannah prepared a beautiful breaded pork chop and nice potato salad, and we had a nice and warm, welcoming luncheon, and the baby was also so happy to sit around or lay around and smiling, although he was full of cold yet. That's, I have to really tell you that Ödön went always on the Sportplatz in Wasserburg, and he had the young people together, and he right away formed some kind of sports, running, hurdle. And then he also was winning something, some kind of running in Wasserburg. So he got a prize for it. And the prize was that he was invited to the Bürgermeister. And the Bürgermeister said, because you were so good in this performance, we want to give you a nice ride on a horse-driven car through whole Wasserburg, and your wife next to you and your daughter next to you, and we get a second car for your brother and his wife and second car. And that was such a wonderful entertainment through the whole Wasserburg. We went because Ödön was just like a champion. And we were invited also some kind of bratwurst or some kind of short food or something also. Fräulein Decker, in the beginning, she was a very nice lady, very nice lady. He called my husband, not Louis, he calls my husband First Lieutenant. And I said, no, he's not First Lieutenant. No, he just called him, he respected him. But as time went by, I don't know, he changed so much. I mean, she changed so much that although Louis brought still the coffee and donuts for all of us, and for her also, but I don't know, maybe she expected too much. As Louis said, no, don't worry about her. She was just jealous. Believe me, Dulika, she is jealous of you, because we find out that her husband left her, and that's what made her so jealous, but I couldn't help it. Later on, she tried to find always something wrong. First she said that the toilet is not clean enough. So she took off the toilet seat, and she took out the windows from the toilet. And we had to live like this for 3 or 4 years. I still remember today, as I thought to myself when we came to America, I should buy a toilet seat and send it to her in Germany because she missed that from her toilet, but I didn't do it. It took a few, I don't even know how many more weeks, and there was a little corner which one was just enough, and there was a little bed. I don't know where did we get it, or was it given to us, and so I could have it for Marianne, and she didn't have to be in the baby buggy. The baby buggy was someplace else in the room, was big. In the next other room further, there was occupied for the music capella, because they were about 5 to 7 people. There was the trumpet player. I still remember his name was Gujwari Shandor, and he played so beautifully. And the American soldiers, they just absolutely went crazy about his music, and just told them practice more, and they brought some music notes, and they were supposed to learn it and learn it some more and more, so they can sing or play all those music like You Are My Sunshine, and that was the going music at that time, what I remember. And Louis was supposed to go to the American Red Cross, which one was at that time providing always coffee, finished up coffee, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, donuts, and he could have as much as he wanted to, because he had to provide the band that they are satisfied, when they wake up, that they can then, after they get a little bit adjusted, then they can start to practice, because the night is again a music night, and they have to produce a new type of song again, a new type of song again, because the singers, they had to do that. That was their job. And Louis then brought me also coffee and donuts, and that was my breakfast. And during the daytime, then Louis was mostly free, and then we just stayed home, or he brought home something, or I bundled up. Marianne was a little bit too small. I was worried to take her any place, because she didn't have really anything warm. And at that time, I really didn't know actually what to do. I was absolutely not experienced. I was almost inside crying for my mother. Oh, I wish she could tell me right now what to do. But I had a book, and I tried to read. It was a Hungarian book, and I tried to read it up, what else is needed in that age. If I did it right, I don't know. I don't know anymore. Our living space was actually one room, but to get to the one room, we had to went through a room where she let me have the baby buggy stand. which one was for me always my pride, that beautiful baby buggy. And there was the wash sink, the running water, old-fashioned type of wash sink. And there came a little extra step-down room, which one had a big closet, and it was full of books, which one I honored, that was his books. And there was also some kind of cabinet, low cabinet, which one I could use maybe to have a hot plate on it, which one I, meanwhile during the time I already have that, find out I can buy something and do that for myself so I can heat something. I cannot cook, at least I can heat milk for or whatever, a little cooking what I can do for Marianne. And then from then on came another door, a little step up, and that was our room, and that was just one room. But this was what I called Vorplatz. And so many times I talked to Louis, do you think if I find a good moment, and I talked to Mrs. Leindecker, Frau Leindecker, from the washroom to the step-down Vorplatz, to build and to buy a door. You know, with Tischler we can make everything we can buy for cigarettes. You know that. They are happy to work. And so I thought, Frau Leindecker, would be possible, please hear me out, if I would have from the water faucet to this end of the Vorplatz, have a door which one we could push back and forth. And I don't want to lock it or something, no, just push back and forth. Because meanwhile, we need to buy or have, because we already have a Tischler, to make a little bathtub, which one looks like a Hungarian techno. And that because Marianne is already growing little baby, and I like to take her to that little bathtub so I can bathe her all the time. So she said, all right, and if we ever leave this place, I also promise we do the door away. I promise that we take care of that. It won't cost you anything, and we take care of it. And she said, all right, you can have that. So the work was starting, the door came out, and we got a little bathtub, and that's way the bathtub made me happy, very happy, because that's the way it worked. Marianne got a bath every night, and then I put her nicely in bed. Then I was the second who got the bath, because I could sit the other way around and I could sit in it, because such a big little tub we ordered. And when I was through, then Louis had to use the same water. So that was it, because it was just terrible that we couldn't have any bathroom. It was so unbelievable. That's where to go for baths. So that's what made me happy. certainly what happened sometimes, I was sitting in the bathtub and suddenly opened the door and Mrs. Leindecker came. And she said, "Ah, here she sits in the bathtub, but not Marian is bathing." And that was it. End of the story. Meanwhile, we heard about it, what happened to her. She was doing not very nice thing to fellow German people, because all those people who were real Nazis, the real Nazis, they had some kind of tattoos on their arm. And because the war was over, somehow they didn't catch them and so forth. Those people went to the doctors. That's what I heard about. Those people went to the doctor and tried to have that removed. And as soon she heard about those type of things, she told of them. And that was not very nice to the fellow Germans. So actually, that's what I heard. She was not very well liked in the city. The other thing, she was very happy that I was very clean. She told me that many times. So when we finally got the nice word that we will move to München, then I said, "Mrs. Landecker, in a day or two we are leaving. We will do the door away." And she said, "No, leave the door. I like it that way. It doesn't matter." And I said, "Then if we did sometimes had not good discussions, sometimes I'm sorry about it. I hope you will be happy that we are moving away." And finally, she held my arm and said, "You know, Mrs. Haidas, I feel bad that you moved because you were such a clean lady. Now maybe I have some Polacks and they are not so clean." That's what she said. And then we left, and here we went to München.